This is Scott Vanderplu, and you're listening to the Artist Edition Index Podcast, episode 53.
I went down to the St. James Infirmary, found my baby there, stretched out on a long white table, so sweet, so cold, so fast.
Welcome back to this podcast where we take the written word from aeindex.org and bring it to life, or as much life as I can get into my voice. This month, another interesting event. Had 2 reviews on the site this month, but not a lot of news going on. I mean, we're still in the grips of the worldwide pandemic, and there's not much we can do about that. Publishing seems to have slowed down dramatically. Printing, especially from Asia, also seems to have backlogged. Just some Kickstarters I'd followed, books sat for weeks at the California port and was not able to get on. So I think it's just one more thing that people are thinking about. But having said that, it seems spending is at its all-time high. So I think if publishers could get things in the hands of people, we'd see more spending, more purchasing. All right. Hot topic this month, don't have one. Sad news this month. Another previews came and went with no AE format books solicited. That is sad. So the last solicited book we had was the John Basemas Marvel Heroes. I'm already forgetting the title of the book. Marvel Heroes, yeah. So that's at least we got that solicitation. That's awesome. So if we look at what's coming up for the year, we have the, as far as artist editions go, we have the EC Covers Artist Edition, which is still scheduled for July 7th. Keeping our fingers crossed. The date's been moved quite a bit, so that should have given it enough time to see printing and shipping. And then we have the John Buscema's Marvel Heroes Artist Edition, as I previously said, solicited for October 13th. Scott Dunbier says that that's a good date and the book should be out by that time. As well, we have 2 artisan editions, and that's, I'm sort of adding those to the list of upcoming books on the AE Artist Edition Index, because I'm trying to cover everything as much as I can and trying to fill out some volume here as well. We have Jack Kirby's Fantastic Four Artist Edition still scheduled for June 30th, and we have Steranko Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Artisan Edition scheduled for August 18th. So those dates have held pretty well. So for this year, I don't know if we're going to see anything else solicited. So we saw the new previews come, the May previews for July, but then nothing scheduled. There's a slim chance we'll see something solicited still this year to be published in December. But historically, if you look at my shipping schedule or you look at my release schedule, there's a chart at the bottom of the page, and you can sort by date, and it's actually already by date. You'll see that December is not a big month. It's basically what happens is any books that were sort of scheduled for the end of the year all stockpile and end up being released in January or February. So December solicit's not great for us. All right. As I said, not a lot of changes there, and sadly no solicitations. So that sort of eliminates a lot of what we do. Now, hot news this month. Wow. David Jacoy, our Patreon patron who provides the polls for us every month, provided this poll. These comic strips transcended the medium, presenting complex issues and moral dilemmas in the space of 3 or 4 panels while maintaining a bit of a bitingly funny sense of humor. Crazy Cat, Little Abner, Pogo, Nancy, Calvin and Hobbes, all are embedded in our brains. Now we get to vote which one deserves IDW's multi-award winning artist edition format. And then I added the note, I tried to use Sundays as a level comparison, but so few Watterson strips are on the market, I had to use dailies, Calvin and Hobbes. So here you look at this list, I'm going to say the last name and you're going to know where the votes are. Ernie Bushmiller on Nancy, Al Cap on Little Abner, George Harriman on Crazy Cat, Walt Kelly on Pogo, Bill Watterson on Calvin and Hobbes. So Calvin and Hobbes is 118 votes. I think it's the most votes we've ever received in a poll for one thing. 22 votes for George Harriman on Crazy Cat, 9 votes split for Al Cap and Walt Kelly, 5 votes for Ernie Bushmiller. So it's a landslide. People love Calvin and Hobbes. Unfortunately, we've seen the 2 books that feature original art from their publisher, which is nice. But yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? They're probably not going to release an artist edition. We can keep our fingers crossed. I mean, a lot of them are housed at the Billy Ireland Library, so I'd love to see that. But, I mean, that involves a lot of sharing between publishers and things. We'd have to see what publisher would do it. Would they be willing? Would Andrews McMeel be willing to do it? That's the question becomes, right? Tough call. All right. Let's go to some, this month I actually got some letters. I got emails, right? So last month I asked the question on the podcast, hey, who writes this? Who writes these blurbs? Because they seem to be picking up on a lot of my reviews, and it was Scott Dunbier confirmed that he writes the blurbs. So that's a nice little tidbit to know. We'll add that. Bit of self-promotion here. My store on aeindex.org/store seems to be doing well. Gotten a lot of sales from there. So if you're interested in some back books, I have a few shrink wrapped, and I have a few that are sealed still, which is the same thing. I have some that are open and some that are sealed. So take a look. I have some of the older books. They're still open. I have some that are sealed. I'm trying to price them as best I can. If there's maybe a little something wrong, or I check on eBay and I see that they're a lower price, then I'm lowering the price too. The one book I'm sort of holding fast to, I have a sealed David Mazzucchelli's Daredevil Born Again Artist Edition. I have a bit of a high price. Maybe I like having it. I don't mind not selling it, but it is the most commanded book available. I've priced it accordingly. If you're interested, anyways, take a look. All right, I got some interesting mail from, from Michael in Europe. I think he's in Germany. We've been sharing emails back and forth about European AE format books. So I'm a big fan. He's been saying some things he's liked. He's asked me some questions about Nexus, the coming of Grimmondo. And it's been great stuff. Based on talking to him, I finally felt invigorated enough or interested enough to go online again and to find some sellers that don't have ridiculous shipping to Canada. I've tried to order a couple books, and I order the book, I think I talked about this last month, but you order a book, and they email you and say, shipping's not 30 euros like my e-commerce website had, it's 60. And I think, well, $60, 60 euros is, 95 Canadian, 100 Canadian. I'm not going to pay that for shipping for one book. It's just not going to happen. So I found a seller, and it's collectorbd.com, and I ordered 2 AE format books, and shipping was 29 euros. So I thought that's pretty great. So those are coming. We're going to see how they're packaged. I'm going to be reviewing them as I get them. I'm probably going to pick up my reviews again to 2 a month. I seem to have a backlog of items that I'd like to maybe get through, and we'll see how it goes. Also, Billy Hines was kind enough to tweet me, and I had a mistake on the AE index page there, the index proper. I had that RoboCop vs. Terminator was 6 issues, and he kindly corrected me that it was 4 issues, so I'm always thankful for that. So I made the change on there. As well, something came up in the forums recently that there was it came up earlier, but then it came up again. There's a printing error in the Walter Simonson's The Mighty Thor Artisan Edition. There's 2 pages that are repeated, therefore 2 pages are missing. I made a note of that on the others index so that people can be aware of that if they're looking to buy that book. All right, that's it for emails. It was nice to have the things, so that's good to see. Also, I had an issue with the site. I don't know who this would relate to, but I have some security software on the site, and it blocks if you try and log in too many times or something like that. So I had a patron user who got blocked. And it was the last block, and it was weird. And so I asked if they had tried to log in with their Patreon login, and they said they hadn't. So I don't understand why it blocked. But for the meantime, I've removed the Patron plugin from my site. The plugin allowed me to post things and then only allow patrons to view it. And instead of doing that, I'm going to be just posting Patreon patron exclusive items to the Patreon page, and then people can view it there. And then after the time period, I'm still deciding whether, I think it's 90 days, then I'll put it on the website. I have not had a lot of patron exclusive items for posting. Previously, I had interviews and things. We've been doing audio interviews lately, and those people have been invited through Patreon anyways. So that's the status of what's going on with that. And I'm hoping that my change there will stop anything from being blocked, or anyone from being blocked. That's always my concern, right? I certainly hope people don't end up being blocked. All right. That's that. Let's move on to sales for this month. Out of print, Artist Edition Index, out of print sales, March 2021. All right, let's look at some sales. So we had 3 copies of Alien the Illustrated Story sell for an average of $210.89. I mean, this must be COVID fever, or, I mean, here's a book that's 9 years old. It languished on this list, selling for $30, $35, $40 for years. Nobody seemed interested in this, and then suddenly, bang, there's big interest. It's a great book. I remember I got it for Christmas, actually, early on. It was before I started the AE Index. I was just picking up artist editions randomly, like most people. You pick up your favorite here or there. And this new publisher, Titan, new to me at the time, was releasing this, and I thought, wow, that's interesting. I should pick that up. So I had ordered it from my local comic shop, and my family gave it to me for Christmas, so that worked out nicely. And then I just sat in my closet for, I think, 2 or 3 years before I even reviewed it. But it's a good book. It's a lot of interesting things. They went above and beyond. There's an interview. There's a lot of extras that we don't see in a lot of artist edition format books. Actually, it's the same kind of extras we saw in the curators collections from kitchen books, right? Wow, I am really drawing the blanks today. All right, next sale. Best of EC Comics Volume 1, $188.78, 1 copy. Wow. 1 copy of Bill Sienkiewicz's Mutants and Moon Knights and Assassins, $440. I mean, eesh. I realize that's a hard-to-get book, but that's jumping. 4 copies of Dave Cockrum's X-Men Artifact Edition sold for an average of $128.93. 1 copy of Dave Gibbons' Watchmen Artifact Edition, $122.50. 2 copies of Dave Stevens' Rockjar Artist Edition, first print, averaging $206. 2 copies of David Mazzucchelli's Dead Reborn Again Artist Edition, averaging $230. 1 copy of Don Rose's Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck Volume 1 for $199.99. So there's a bump in that too. ElfQuest Gallery Edition, 1 copy, $259.99. I don't get this. Here's another book. I mean, I don't know what's out of print. It's like everybody who's ever wanted anything has suddenly discovered that these things are out there and they need to buy it on eBay. I'm not getting it. 1 copy of Frank Cho's Savage Wolverine Artist Edition sold for $169.95. 2 copies of Frank Miller's Sin City, the Hard to Goodbye Curators Collection, averaging $140.20. I think this is still a very undervalued and underappreciated book. Both Curators Collections from Kitchen Sink Books, put together by John Lind, are stunning, and they really deserve to be in the hands of any AE format enthusiast. All right, 1 copy of Gene Colan's Tomb of Dracula Artist Edition sold for $249.95. Again, a big jump. 6 copies of Gil Kane's Amazing Spider-Man Artist Edition sold for an average of $116.99. Now that book, there's been a glut of those selling on eBay, but they averaged like $75, $76 for months, so now we're up. 2 copies of Jack Davis's EC Stories for an average, 3 copies, for an average of $235.30. 1 copy of Jack Kirby's Marvel Heroes and Monsters for $150. 1 copy of Kirby's The Mighty Thor for $176.98. 1 copy of Joe Kubert's Tarzan and the Apes for $120.87. 5 copies of John Buscema's Silver Surfer Artist Edition sold for an average of $133.97. 3 copies of John Byrne's Fantastic Four sold for $124.29 on average. 1 copy of John Romita's The Amazing Spider-Man Artist Edition sold for $280. Wow. 4 copies of the Volume 2 sold for an average of $133.45. 1 copy of Lone Wolf and Cub Gallery Edition sold for $215. I don't know if you're seeing this, but there is a pattern here. The Dark Horse Gallery Editions that are out of print are going up and up. 3 copies of Michael Golden's Micronauts Artist Edition sold for an average of $316.33. Again, this is the standard edition. This is not the limited edition. 1 copy of Mike Mignola's Hellboy in Hell and Other Stories Artist Edition sold for $250. 1 copy of Ross Andrews' The Amazing Spider-Man Artist Edition sold for $180. One copy of Spawn Vault Edition sold for $355. So that's back up to there. The price has always been high since the Vault 2 came out. 2 copies of the Vault Edition 2 sold for an average of $277. One copy of Star Wars Artifact Edition sold for $119.99. One copy of Star Wars Dark Times Gallery Edition sold for $60. So there you go. It's going to break my rule there of Gallery Editions from Dark Horse going up. 3 copies of Stranko Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Artist Edition first print sold for an average of $179.69. One copy of the Book of Ballads sold for $25. This is an amazing book. This is a $75 cover price. It's another book people really, I don't think, are appreciating, and they need to get on that. One copy of the Prisoner Original Art Edition sold for $150. I don't know. One copy of Saw Yojimbo, Samurai and Other Stories sold for $159.76. So again, with my theory about the Dark Horse. 3 copies of Walter Simonson's Thor Artist Edition sold for an average of $122.83. One copy of Will Eisner's A Contract with God Curious Collection sold for $165.74. One copy of Will Eisner's The Spirit Artist Edition sold for $174.99. And again, I think I mentioned this last month. I don't know when I added this, maybe February. I'm adding record prices to the bottom, right? So there's no new record prices in April, but I'm wondering if I should move. I'm wondering, is $500 my record price limit? Or should I, maybe I'm going to be watching Bill Sienkiewicz's Mutants and Moonites and Assassins and see if we're reaching into the stratosphere with those, because that seems high, $440. We'll see what happens. So far, the only book on the list to make that's not remarked or signed or a variant is that Wally Wood Easy Stories Artist Edition first print that sold for $675 in January. That was yowzers, crazy. All right, that's out of print sales. I previously mentioned the store. And there's 2 other ways you can support the Artist Edition Index. That's one, become a patron through Patreon. For $1 more, whatever you'd like to pledge, you can just support the site. Say, hey, I like what you're doing. Here's $1. Here's $2. Here's $5. Pick an amount. Support us for a while. I'd prefer you pick a lower amount and just keep it going, as opposed to maybe a higher amount and just doing it a month or 2, if that's at all possible with you. Obviously, it's personal preference. It's up to you, and I appreciate it. The second way, which is much easier to support me, is to use any of the affiliate links I have on the site. So if you go to buy something, Things from Another World from the site, you go through Amazon, you buy something, you click through my eBay link to buy something, I get a percentage of all those things. The Things from Another World is the best percentage. There's no question. And then the eBay percentage is, I think Things from Another World is 5%, and eBay's 3, and Amazon's 1.5. It's not very good, the Amazon one. But, Amazon, it's out there. Ubiquitous, right? All right. As any questions you have, you can always email me, scott@aeindex.org. I try and respond to everybody. Pretty sure I do. I don't think I've missed too many. For any of my Patreon patrons, I get a notice when you contact me through Patreon. Should get a notice, and then I reply as quickly as I can. I did have to apologize to a patron. I was on the Patreon site a couple weeks ago and realized that he had messaged me at the end of March, and I didn't get a notice for that, so that was all cleared up, though. So best way to contact me, scott@aeindex.org. All right, 2 reviews this month, and the reason I did these 2 is because they're both exhibition catalogs, both from the Society of Illustrators. And I attended both shows because I was in New York in 2018 on a family vacation, and they had 2 shows. They had The Art of the Avengers and Other Heroes, and then they had Tales from the Crypt, The Revolutionary Art of Mad, and EC Comics. So I just want to speak briefly about these exhibitions before I move into the catalog. Maybe I'll combine it all together and do a long, the usual monologue rambling that I like to do. This is an impressive show. I took my son with me. There's pictures of it. I did a review for Comic Book Daily of the show, and there's a lot of pictures there, and I did link to it in each of the reviews. Now, the Marvel, The Art of the Avengers and Other Heroes, there's actually not a lot of Avengers art, which is, I don't know why. I think they were just capitalizing on the movie success. But the exhibit was 2 floors and a lot of art, and really great art and varying art. The highlight for me, there were several pages from Amazing Spider-Man 20 done by Ditko with the Scorpion, and they did just twice ups. I was blown away. Gorgeous, amazing stuff. And then the other thing I really enjoyed was Amazing Spider-Man 86 had a bunch of pages of the Black Widow done by Romita. Now, I'm not a big Amazing Spider-Man fan of Romita's artwork, but him doing this Black Widow pages, they were also just amazing. And then a bunch of other stuff. There's a lot of Simonson art. There was this really gorgeous Hulk magazine, Simonson color painted cover, like giant. And, we were there, and like I said, this is the main gallery and then the basement. Really nice. And then I got the catalog, I put it aside, and I got this and the other catalog, obviously. I put it aside, and I put it in, I was going to get back to it. If I'm at an art exhibit and the catalog's reasonable, I pick up the catalog. Now, this was mentioned on the forum because both these catalogs were on sale for $10. This is normally $20, and the EC one was $30. So that took me to pulling them out and reviewing them, and I'm happy with the catalog mostly. I'm very disappointed with the content and the page count. So the Avengers Assemble is 8.5 by 11, perfect bound, which means there's that line on the cover where past the glue binding where the cover can bend. It's any soft cover really pays off well being perfect bound. As an example of perfect bound, to be any of those prestige format books, like from Dark Knight on. That line there on the covers that lets you open the pages without, bringing the cover all the way back and, messing up with the glue. But the problem is 48 pages. And the fact that the exhibit is, hundreds of pieces of art, and I think I wrote in the review, I counted the art. There's 63 pieces of art in the catalog. 32 of them are full page, and the rest are multiple per page. And then every page in the catalog, every piece of art has the issue number, and then the title of the story, and the writer. For some reason, I'm not sure why that's important to that one-page piece of art. I guess if there's words on it, that makes sense. Then they have the art, and they have the lettering. So they tried to include everybody, which is nice. But the pages are a little bit reduced, so you don't get the 8.5 by 11, so they've shrunk it down. And then, like I said, there's so many pages where there's multiple art, and then there's so much art that was just neglected or not included in the catalog that could have been. And as we've experienced from previous catalogs here that I've been reviewing, like the Profiles in History one, if you are running an art exhibition like this, then you print a catalog, you can print all the art you have. So as I said in the review, I can only imagine what this would have been like at 12 by 17. Blown away is how it would have been. Had they done the entire catalog, the entire exhibit, and I realized that would have meant reducing some of the twice-ups, like the Ditkos, which would have been a crime. But still, can you imagine a 150-page catalog, say for $150 with all this art? Bam, instant purchase. Please, people who do exhibitions of original art like this, please consider doing a full-size catalog, doing something that it resembles the AE format, so that I can see still doing this for $20, but doing the larger catalog, sell it. Make a little money, see what happens. This catalog, glossy pages, very white pages, but a nice. It is a nice small overview of the show, but there's so much left out. It's unbelievable. And then we move on to the next catalog, which is from the same time period. Tales from the Crypt, The Revolutionary Art of Mad, and EC Comics. This is 96 pages. And this exhibit took place on the top floor of the Society of Illustrators in their restaurant. So I'm up there with my son. We're trying to see the art, and people are having lunch. You have to try and maneuver around tables. I'm like, oh my goodness, these people are eating lunch, and I'm trying to look at this art around them. This catalog has a lot of art, all of it full page, and it's most of the art from the exhibit. Same thing. The glossy pages, very white. Lots of art. Like I said, the same notations on the pages, but you can really see where, I don't know if it's the curator of the show, of both shows, which was Rob Pistella. You can see where his love lay, and that is with the EC stuff and not really that new Marvel stuff. Got it, But why to take this exhibit and do a 96-page catalog with almost all the art, and then do a Marvel, catalog which had a ridiculous amount of art for the show, and then do 48 pages, and then just and multiple small images on the page? I don't get it. Were they thinking that just it would be random people, just curious people not interested in comics that would come to the Society of Illustrators and view this exhibition and then maybe just pick up the catalog because it's $20 and think, oh, here's a nice little souvenir? I don't think that's the market. I really don't. And the other weird thing about this EC catalog is there's 12 sort of 1 to 2 page essays of fans. And some of them are kind of famous. Rob Reiner's in here. I think that's the Rob Reiner that we know. And they're just all saying, hey, EC was awesome. I loved EC. EC was such a great thing. But I don't know why we need 12 of those. Actually, I don't know why we need any of them in the exhibit. What does that got to do with the exhibit? Or is it because they're concerned that people don't know what EC is? Maybe just dedicating 4 pages to maybe a history of EC. But again, I don't think that's the target market. I don't think people thought, oh, I wasn't alive in the 1950s, and I have no recollection of EC, but I hear that these people really like it in the catalog, so I will go see the show. I'm not seeing the logic there, and I've just rambled on quite a bit on this, because sometimes I don't understand what goes into a catalog, or why they do it. I wasn't this brutal in the review, so I guess that's the advantage or disadvantage of the podcast, right? I can be a little more critical. Now, what I did appreciate, Society of Illustrators, now please click on the review link, take a look at the pictures, and then check out my review in Comic Book Daily. Because I got a lot of pictures of the exhibit. It's pretty great. And I have to say, as I said in the review, the highlight of my visit was they have in the lobby of the Society of Illustrators, they have a full-size, like an original painting from N.C. Wyeth, from when he illustrated the Robin Hood. It is so gorgeous. I just stood there. I was spellbound by this, and I just thought to myself, can we please have an N.C. Wyeth exhibit or a decent book? Not related to comics at all, but greatly related to illustration, right? Gorgeous. All right. That's my ramble for that, and I think that wraps up for this month. Next, what's coming up? Gonna have some reviews next month. I'm starting to review the IDW exhibit catalog. So, just as a rundown, we got Big John Buscema. I'm reviewing that one, and then later on, I'll have the Ditko one, the Wally Wood one, and the Russ Heath one, the Flesh and Steel. I just got that. I just picked it up at a comic shop on a discount from just an older book. It was slightly damaged, so I'm going to be using my book glue and some repair to get that going. But I feel like there was one other catalog that I'm forgetting. Anyway, look for those coming up in the next few months. Look for some more bande dessinée, AE format books coming up in the next few months. And please, if you have any questions, please email me. All right, thanks for joining me, and my take, bringing the Artist Edition Index to life. And we will talk again next month.
Let her go, God bless her. Wherever she may be, she can search this wide world over. She'll never find a sweet man like me.